Something truly curious is happening with the HAL Tejas, the combat ship produced by India. Although several countries have shown interest in buying the plane introduced in 2015, no transaction has yet been finalized. The strangest thing is that its Chinese-Pakistani counterpart, the JF-17 Thunder, has already found 3 international buyers, in addition to several interested parties, such as Argentina or Iran. In fact, we could say that these two aircraft compete in the same market category, and at the moment the JF-17 is in the lead. The question is, what makes so many air forces distrust the Tejas? Join us to find out in a new episode of Military Aviation. The Tejas multi-role fighter, manufactured by the Indian company HAL, faces several controversies that call into question its general quality. Importantly, this aircraft represents a proud technological leap for India, allowing its air and marine fleets to replace items dating back to the 1960s, such as the British Sea Harriers. However, the problems for this aircraft, nicknamed Resplendent, are not domestic, but related to its entry into international markets. India is very interested in selling its latest aerial creation, and since 2018, it has obtained several countries interested in acquiring some copies of the HAL Tejas. 7 nations contemplated purchasing the light fighters, but each had reservations or difficulties. For example, Argentina studied the possibility of buying the planes, and even India proposed some improvements to tempt Latin Americans. HAL offered Argentina a package of 12 Tejas, which would be replaced by 50 components of British origin, such as the refueling probe, the quartz nose cone and the Martin-Baker ejection seats. This meant that the transaction had to be scrutinized and accepted by the United Kingdom, due to the arms embargo they maintain against the Argentines, which diminished the interest of Latin Americans. At the moment, they prefer to choose between ships like the Sino-Pakistani JF-17 Thunder or the Russian MiG-35. Something similar happened with the Philippines, Sri Lanka, Australia, and the United Arab Emirates, nations that welcomed the HAL fighter but chose to remove it from the portfolio of possible purchases. For their part, the Indians showed a certain desperation to do business, which is never a good sign. For example, Egypt was offered the possibility of setting up local factories for the Tejas fighter and light helicopters. For the moment, the Egyptians have neither accepted nor declined the proposal. Probably the biggest loss for the Indian company HAL was its possible contract with the United States. That's right, although it may seem hard to believe, the Western superpower, which is among the best aeronautical industries in the world, contemplated buying some Tejas fighter jets. The Americans considered Indian light fighters a good option to replace their T-45 Goshawk trainers, but ultimately decided to rule out the possibility. The United States had considered several options, including the T-7 Red Hawk from Boeing and Saab, as well as the Korean KAI T-50A. In fact, the only option thought to operate from aircraft carriers was the HAL Tejas, but the design of its wings, in Delta, was considered a negative aspect, since it made it difficult to take off and land at low speeds. Most likely, the Americans will opt for the Red Hawk or the T-50A. The only country that has really insisted on the possibility of buying the HAL Tejas is Malaysia, a nation that intends to acquire this aircraft between 2022 and 2023. The idea of the Malaysian Air Force is to replace its fleet of MiG-29, and, although the agreement has gone through various difficulties since 2019, it seems that it will be the only one to finally come to fruition. But what makes HAL Tejas attractive? This light fighter was born as an air superiority aircraft project, but finally saw the light as a multi-role. While overall development, which began in 2001, was carried out by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, the aircraft carries components from 8 different companies, from India, Israel, the UK, and the US. Companies such as BAE System and Lockheed Martin contributed components for the cockpit, flight control, and refueling probe. The target acquisition system, hull electronics, radar systems, and electronic countermeasure equipment were incorporated by Israeli companies such as Elbit, ELTA, and Rafael. The ejection seats, as well as the exhaust system, were designed by the British Martin-Baker. This flying Tower of Babel currently has a single-seater version, although a 2-seater version is being designed for the Naval Air Fleet. It has a length of 13.2 meters, a wingspan of 8.2 meters, and a height of 4.4 meters. Its wing area is 38.4 meters. Empty, the Tejas weighs 6,560 kilograms, while loaded with fuel, it reaches about 9,500 kilograms. In any case, its maximum takeoff weight is quite large, about 13,200 kilograms, which allows more than 3 tons between armament and reserve fuel. Its power plant is of North American origin, since it uses a General Electric F404 GEIN-20 turbine. This is because, although the Indians tried to replicate this engine locally, they did not achieve the desired quality, which is why they preferred to bet on the American classic. The turbofan gives the plane a maximum speed of Mach 1.8, that is, about 2,138 km per hour. The range varies depending on the speed, and finds a range from 850 km to 3,000 km by ferry. The flight ceiling is 16,000 meters, although it finds its point of greatest maneuverability at 15,000 meters. As for its armament, it has 8 anchor points, divided into 6 underwing pylons, a central pylon and one located under the left air intake. In total, they add a load capacity of 4,000 kilograms. With this, the Tejas can use conventional and laser-guided bombs of the Paveway 2 type, S-8 or Bofors-type rockets, air-to-air missiles of the Vimpel family, and anti-surface or anti-ship projectiles such as the KH-59M or KH-35. We can see that this is an extremely flexible aircraft for its offensive setups, and that it takes its multi-role capability seriously. However, the Achilles heel of HAL Tejas is not minor. One of its weaknesses is its poor electronics and avionics, whose main attraction is the HAL Hyderabad multimode pulse Doppler radar. In modern air warfare, having a single powerful radar is not enough, which is visible in Russian, American and even Chinese aircraft, which have sensors of different types, electro-optical detection pods, augmented reality systems, and even artificial intelligences in onboard computers. Until India delves into information technology, probably the main interest in the digital age, its aircraft is likely to fall behind other options, such as the JF-17, T-50A, or Saab Gripen. Thank you very much for joining us until the end. Stay tuned for our next video.